All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started. First, I want to welcome everyone. If you've not met me before, my name is Amanda Rebedu, and I'm the Vice President of Economic Development for Aspire Economic Development and Chamber Alliance. I may not have had the chance to have met all of you yet. I've only been with the group for right at about a month, so I think I had about 2.5 weeks in the office and have been home since. So it's been definitely an interesting start to my journey here with Aspire. Quick housekeeping: if we could make sure that everyone is muted, and if you want to change the view, you can go to the left hand side of your screen on that blue bar, and that'll bring up the screen of the person who is speaking, so you'll be able to see them a little bit better. We there is a chat feature along that side as well, and if you have some questions that come up as during the presentation, I would recommend go ahead and adding those questions to the chat, and we will make sure that you receive a response before we're wrapped up. um, During these unsettling times, we remain committed to leading our area's business community, and we really want to make sure that you have all of the resources available to you as possible. And the Indie Chamber has been doing just some awesome things, and we wanted to make sure that you have all of these resources available. So we have brought on some folks from the Indie Chamber to talk a little bit more about their emergency loan fund, and so I'll just go ahead and turn it right over to Sarah.
Great. Thank you, Amanda. And thank you for inviting us today. We're happy to join this call, and we appreciate all of the work of Aspire and the continued partnership we have with you guys throughout the year, not just in these current response efforts. Um, Good morning, everyone on the call. My name is Sarah Eigelhart. I'm the Vice President of Regional Economic Development at the Indy Chamber. I lead the Indy Partnership Team, which is our 9-county regional economic development efforts. I hope you and your families are doing well and staying safe during these unprecedented times. The last nearly month now, I guess, has certainly been trying times for us all. And I truly wish you all well as you continue to navigate this situation for your business, for your employees, and for your families as well. For today's meeting, I wanted to focus on two main components of the Indy Chamber response efforts. The first is the Rapid Response Hub. The second is the Rapid Response Loan Fund. To begin, I'm going to start with the Rapid Response Hub before moving into the Loan Fund. I've also asked my colleague, Vincent Ash, to join me as well. Vincent has been critical in leading and managing a lot of those incoming loan requests, and he'll provide some more information on the best practices for applying for those loans and things for you to keep in mind a little bit later on. So again, to start, I'm going to start with the Chamber's Rapid Response Hub. Just to help navigate you, that can be found at response.indychamber.com. Here you'll find the landing page for all of the topics in our response efforts. We have a team of people, our kind of triage team that we've put together. They are working on a daily basis to ensure that the information provided on that site stays up to date with all of the new advisories and resources that come available at the federal, state, and local level as well. So I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into that hub to start. There's a few main categories to keep in mind that might be helpful to you and your businesses. First is the initial area that we launched with almost a month ago now. That's the FAQ area. This area provides resources on federal and state guidance as needed. And if a question that you have is not addressed in that FAQ section and there's not a resource there, you are able to submit a question via the question form on that page. It's important to note that nearly 2/3 of the chamber staff have pivoted to focus on response efforts. I only mention this to really emphasize that when you submit a question on that form, it's not going into a dark abyss. We have a team of people that are responsible for specific categories, and you will receive a response to your question, or at least pulling in additional resources within 6 hours. On that question form, we've also partnered with the IUPUI Kelley School of Business with their alumni and faculty, as well as the Indiana Bar Association. So if any of your questions fall outside of the scope of what chamber staff are able to answer, we are making referrals to those partner organizations who will follow up directly. In the past few weeks, we've also added a jobs tab to the Response Hub. This is really a critical portion of the hub for any employers that have hiring needs or individuals that are currently seeking employment. For this section, we've really relied on our partners, organizations throughout the region, such as Aspire. We've aggregated large hiring needs. So things like Target, Amazon, Walmart, that have seen a huge influx of some of those logistics hiring needs. Any companies that have reached out to us, if you have a hiring need, we've posted those on that portion of the website, as well as had a partner side. Here we've aggregated job boards throughout the region. So this includes Aspire's job board that they recently launched as well. So again, those can be found at response.indychamber.com. 2 weeks ago, the chamber announced the Rapid Response Loan Fund. I'm going to put a pin in that one for just a moment. We'll talk more about that a little bit later, but there's a couple more components to the Response Hub that I want to talk about before we dive deeper into that one. So finally, last week, the Indy Chamber launched the Buy Indy campaign. And this effort is to support small businesses throughout the region. This information can be found on our Response Hub by selecting the Promote tab or by visiting buyindy.org directly. In addition to aggregating some of the already launched local buying and local support initiatives, the Indy Chamber has recently partnered with RTV6 and their We're Open Indy campaign. So small businesses may submit a video 30 seconds or less on that buyindy.org site. That information will be shared on social media and potentially on air via RTV6. So I highly recommend, if you are currently open for business, we want to help support all of those businesses that are trying to stay afloat and providing some services during this time. And so please submit a video on that site. I'm happy to answer any more questions about that later. Again, kind of our goal in all of these efforts, as Amanda mentioned earlier, is really to support our small businesses throughout the region and ensure that everyone has access to the resources and the services they need. We thank our partners, are the boots on the ground at the local level, like Amanda and Christian, continue to support their communities and help share information with us that we can put on that website to ensure that all efforts throughout the region are pulled together in one kind of clearinghouse. So from there, I'd like to shift a bit to capital. There's a lot of information available on federal programs, both the Small Business Administration's Economic Injury Disaster Loan, as well as the Payroll Protection Program. These are great resources. They might be a great fit for you as well. However, I'm not an expert in those programs. The number one thing that we can tell businesses is to reach out to your bank. Start with your bank. If you have a relationship with a bank, that's the best place to start to really learn more. Also, reach out to your accountant to help identify which of those programs might be a good fit for you. If you do want to know more and learn more about those programs, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce has broken these programs down, as well as some of the other portions of the CARES Act, in a really great summarized resource. That summary is available on our Response Hub. Again, that's response.indychamber.com. It's one of the main updates there, and I am happy to send a link to Amanda or in the chat feature in a little bit to that resource. Again, it breaks those down in a really great, easy to understand way. So while I'm not going to talk a ton about federal programs, one capital program that we are here to talk about today is the Indy Chamber's Rapid Response Loan Fund that I mentioned briefly earlier. The goal of the fund is to really increase the speed and access to capital for small businesses facing, uncertain and uncharted times. The loan is structured to provide more immediate relief or really to bridge to your business until some additional federal funds may be accessed as well. A few things to keep in mind on the fund include, as I mentioned, it was launched about 2 weeks ago. That fund is funded by public, private, and philanthropic dollars. The original announcement was seeded with the City of Indianapolis and the CIB dollars, which are restrained to Marion County. However, Anthem and all of the other private investments that have been made since then are available at a regional level. So all of your businesses in Johnson County, there is a pool of funds that are available to you. If you need access to capital, we want to talk to you. So I highly recommend that you look into this. More information on that can be found at response.indychamber.com/loans. Some of the nitty gritty kind of details, terms of the loan. So this loan fund is funding loans from $1,000 to $25,000. The interest rate is 3.75%. And generally, we're looking at about a 5-year term with payments starting in July. One thing to keep in mind about this is that the economic injury disaster loan may be used to repay this rapid response loan, which would make this loan product truly a bridge program. Bridging you, this rapid loan program could bridge you to when you're able to access those economic injury disaster loans. Right now, the payroll protection program could be if the use of the rapid response loan fund is for payroll specifically, just because there's a lot of things that wouldn't make the payroll protection program an eligible way to repay the rapid response loan. We're currently not recommending that. So if you're looking at this program to be truly a bridge to federal capital, we'd want that to be the economic injury disaster loan. So to apply for these loans, again, visit response.indychamber/loan to submit an inquiry. That form is staffed by live individuals that will reach out to you and continue the process. The application and review process includes a review of the applicant's credit history. While there is no minimum credit requirement, the credit history will be reviewed. The team will be reviewing the company's organizational documents to ensure they are filed with the Secretary of State, proof of other income, business bank statements, debt schedule. Currently, the timeline for completed application to notification of approval is around 7 days. Finally, I would be remiss if I did not mention that no system was built for this. So please have patience with us and your banks as you pursue these options. It's our goal to serve as many companies as possible, and we're working diligently and have shifted much of our staff to assist with the processing and response of those loans and questions. So with that, I would like to turn it over to my colleague, Vincent, to share some best practices. Although Vincent is traditionally works in the economic development space, as I mentioned, he has been a critical part of the team and really leading on the front lines of this loan product. So with that, I'll turn it over to Vincent to let Vincent go through anything I may have missed on the loan fund, as well as talk through some of the best practices and things that they're seeing.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sarah, for that. And I'm grateful to be here to talk to you all about our rapid response loan. So as Sarah mentioned, I do work for Develop Indy. I'm a senior project manager there, so traditional economic development. When we launched the rapid response loan program, we knew we had a shift focus due to the amount of inquiries that we've had. As Sarah mentioned, no system was really built for this, and even a lot of banking institutions receive tons of inquiries, have moved certain underwriters that usually focus on mortgages over to help out with relief loans for this pandemic. So overall, we do have a lot of capacity on the team now. Pretty much it's all hands on deck approach from the Indy Chamber staff to help administer these. Once you submit a loan inquiry on the Response Hub, you'll then be reached out by one of the people on our sales team to just get some initial information, how much you're requesting. They will really do some due diligence on really how much cash flow you really need for about 90 days. just so we could kind of manage the fund that we do have and kind of set expectations. We really want businesses to try to stay solvent for about 90 days. So that's kind of our goal that we're hitting um, as far as the amount that's being requested. Once that initial inquiry goes out, it then moves to an application creation team, which will send out a link to the application where you have to upload documents that are required as part of the loan. We do require businesses to be registered with the Secretary of State. So if businesses are not registered with the Secretary of State, there is a basically they would not be able to have access to this loan fund. Once all documents are uploaded, it then goes to our underwriting team to kind of review all the required documents for that, and then it'll move on to closing once those documents are reviewed and a credit check is pulled, a credit report is pulled for all the business owners. So, with that being said, some of what we're seeing is a lot of restaurants, a lot of service companies, from security to limousine companies, just like any type of like service related companies are applying. I've seen some heating and cooling companies as well. And like we said, I'm pretty sure most of the restaurants in our region have applied for this loan as well. So some of the best practices we see, since all owners are required to submit information to this, it's really just having your documentation ready. I'm gonna go off just a quick list of what we kind of require, and this is for the up to $25,000 because this is what we're seeing most companies apply for. You do need driver's license, proof of other income, three most recent personal bank statements, and the most recent signed personal tax return, and that is for all business owners that are part of the LLC or company that is applying for the loan. As far as business documents, we also need three most recent bank statements, the most recent signed tax returns, any debt schedules, and then current financial statements. So year ends for 2019. Most companies have not filed their 2019 taxes yet. So any year end statements for 2019, any year end financial statements. I mean, I'm sorry, year to date financial statements for 2020. A copy of their SS4 to identify their federal EIN number, any articles of incorporation, bylaws, or operating agreement, lease agreements as well, and then proof of insurance. Um, so those are kind of all the documents we need. The best practices is just submit every single documentation that we have. We have moved to a form stack link. So if there are missing documents, business owners are able to clarify why those items are missing. For example, we do ask for pay stubs or proof of other incomes, but those can also be shown on tax returns signed by the owners and, of course, in the business as well. So any clarification on items missing is beneficial to kind of help expedite the process. And that's kind of what the lag has been mostly for moving to closing is once it gets down to the underwriting team, we're reviewing documents. We have to reach back out for additional documents, and we're waiting for that company to upload them. Not only that, we did receive over 700 initial inquiries as well. So I believe as of today, we are all caught up on those initial inquiries, and we are basically caught up on sending application and the application and document links as well to get those uploaded. So we have spent a lot of time on this. It's basically our number one priority. A lot of and a lot of the chambers, staff is making this their priority as well, on top of the other day-to-day duties they have. But this is by far the most important task that we have, and we're making this a priority to trying to get these applications through and process in a timely manner. So that's pretty much kind of the best practices. I know Sarah mentioned there's no payment due to July. There's also no interest accrued. Interest doesn't start accruing until July as well. So this is a very, well designed program to be a bridge for any other relief that you may be receiving. So um, That's pretty much all I have. If I'm open to answer any questions later on in the program or now. Don't know the organization of it, but happy to answer any questions for you all.
Thank you so much. I do have one quick question. Can you, either Sarah or Vincent, could you speak on a little bit more on how this is different than the SBA or reaching out to your bank? What's the advantage?
Sure, I'll start, and then Vincent, if I miss anything, feel free to kind of jump in on that. I think that right now, other than uses for the fund, obviously, and if you need to see kind of the uses that are eligible for the economic injury disaster loan and the payroll protection, we'll certainly send over a graphic. But I think the biggest difference and differentiator right now is just the speed to access. We're hearing a lot of banks that are struggling, and we have heard from a lot of small businesses that getting those applications into the SBA website has been a challenge. So even really being able to get in the door to start that process is delayed a little bit. And so I would say that right now, kind of the biggest advantage is the speed and the access that we're able to provide and being able to turn around. Again, we're going from completed application to notification of approval in 7 days. And so I think that right now that's the biggest differentiator. Vincent, would you add anything else?
I would just also add, like, in addition to that, there's no minimum credit score at all that you have to qualify for. It's more of a judge of character. We do look at, making sure all other credit terms are current and there's no delinquencies or past due balances on those. But there's no minimum credit score. We know that in this time, cash flow is an issue for most companies, and we really just are trying to help them out and stay solvent and stay open for as much as they can. And I think our leadership team that has raised capital has been very open with investors about the situation and dire needs for these funds, just to even help small businesses stretch until the summertime when hopefully this is all over and they can actually start getting access to cash again through sales. So that would be the only thing that I would add is it is pretty straightforward. There has been businesses that have went through the SBA process that say how difficult it has been, and how unbusiness friendly it has been. So we're definitely keeping the business top of mind in our processes and being open and honest with them throughout the entire process, and just trying to expedite it as quickly as we can.
I would just final statement on that though, all that being said, we still do recommend that kind of your first step should be reaching out to your bank, starting those conversations with your bank, because if they are working in those 7A loans, that could be a great resource. And so always start there, and we're happy to have the conversations and have additional conversations. But if you submit that inquiry on that loan site.
Okay. Another quick question, is coaching still available? How can business owners ask technical questions for their business operations?
Coaching is still available. So there's a couple of different ways that you can ask those questions. First is the Response Hub website. So if you had kind of that operational finance question, that form will still feed in, and we'll partner with the Kelly School of Business typically on a question like that. So an alumni or faculty member could reach back out. Coaching services are still available. Vincent, can you talk more about how that's fit into the loan process at this time?
So our traditional like BUI small business coaching that we have is still available right now. All that team is working on trying to get through these loans. So as Sarah mentioned, the rapid response and getting questions answered from the IU Kelly School of Business or the Indiana Bar Association is still available. And even through the process, we are very open with businesses as they're going through it. They're able to call us, and I mean, I fielded many questions from businesses are already about what they can do to help expedite the process or make it friendly, and ask for a timeline. So there is still a somewhat of component with that, going through the loan process and the process in general. But overall, that response hub will be the best like avenue to use for coaching right now, as we're working through most of our loans.
Okay, thank you. Actually, to kind of piggyback on that, BOI is our in-house micro lending and business coach, and they actually keep office hours in our Spire, both our Greenwood office and our Franklin office every week. So membership is not required, and so and that is available at both locations. So just once we're all released back into the wild, hopefully that'll we'll be able to access that again. So it looks like we do have one question from Becky Allen. She asks if this includes non-for-profits.
So currently, it does not include not-for-profits. There have been conversations with a couple of philanthropic organizations to try to secure funding to make some of this available for not-for-profit organizations. However, the economic injury disaster loan was expanded to include nonprofit organizations. So if you have not started that process already, I would recommend you go there, and we will certainly share any updates if that policy changes with the chamber.
Okay. Right now, I would like to open it up for any additional questions. If you'd like to include that, if you'd like to add that to the chat, and we'll make sure that we get those answered before we wrap up. I'll give you a few minutes.
You actually brought up a good point though earlier, Amanda, that I failed to mention, and I want to make sure everyone's aware of. While we are a member organization, as is Aspire, the Response Hub, the services of the hub, and the loan fund is available for all individuals, all businesses throughout the Indy region. So you do not need to be a member of our organization to access those. We want to hear from you. We want to serve as many businesses as we can. And so please reach out if you're in a situation where you think that this might be a good fit.
Julia, I see your question, and we can do some additional research on that, and we'll provide an update. Research on the non-for-profit when the availability of resources. Krista Linky, are these traditional loans, meaning how are they secured through a mortgage or personal guarantee? Vincent or Sarah, did you want to answer that?
Yep, there is a personal guarantee that's associated with these loans. So it is somewhat traditional. The interest rate is low. As Sarah mentioned, it's 3.75, but there is a personal guarantee that's associated with it.
Okay.
And just back to that nonprofit item again, there are federal resources available for nonprofits. The Rapid Response Loan Fund currently cannot serve nonprofits, but there have been efforts to find some donors that would be able to address those.
Thank you. Any other questions? How are you handling applications? Is it first come, first serve?
Yes, currently applications are coming in first come, first serve as we get them in, rolling them through the process. Vincent, do you want to talk any more about that since you're kind of on the front lines really receiving those?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're handling the applications on a first come, first served basis. I will say that once the application, the inquiries will come in, and once the application is formally sent out, it's basically the businesses that get their documents uploaded the quickest are the ones that's being processed. At this time, there hasn't been a lot of outreach for companies that we've sent applications out to, and we're following up. Like we're just now like starting to do that, and this is like week 2 of this. So Once the companies have all their documentations uploaded, we're moving them to underwriting. We're not delaying or waiting for other companies that we've sent applications out before to do it first. So it's basically if you have your information available, you're able to expedite the process. So the inquiries are handled first come, first serve, but the actual processing of the application is based off of the companies that have their documentation uploaded first.
Thanks. How do you determine the amount they're eligible for?
So that is based off of the business and the need. We're really looking at what a business need to stay solvent in 90 days. I mean, we've had we want those to be used for things like operating expenses or rent, things of that nature to keep the business afloat. So we really will talk to the business on the front end to see what their need is. We've had some applicants drop their need from an initial request of 25,000, and we had other applicants increase it up to 25,000. So it's based off of the need, and then once it goes to the underwriting and credit is pulled and things of that nature, there may be counters based off of the credit. And just looking at the credit amount that maybe a business has overall. So there are some calculations that our underwriting team will do, but mostly what I've been seeing is really based off of the need that the company has.
Okay. Any other questions? And of course, I want to make myself available, our team available at Aspire, and also obviously the Rapid Response Hub has a ton of questions on there and is responded to very quickly. So please feel free to reach out to us, reach out to the Indy Chamber. We want to be here for you. Your business is very important to us, and it's very important that we are able to provide you with as many resources as possible through this time. So thank you so much to Sarah and Vincent. I appreciate your time this morning. And if anyone has any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you so much for joining us. Everybody have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks.